Bye.
Okay, my story involves two acts of courage, both by the same woman, my mother. And the first act, I'll share with you, was undoubtedly an act of moral and physical courage. The second act, I will tell you, I'm not sure. I don't know if it was an act driven by courage or one by fear and shame, and I'll let you be the judge. So the first incident happened when I was 16, and my mother and I were enjoying a root beer float at the A&W Drive-In, and that was in Cincinnati, Ohio. And it was a hard day of shopping, so we were enjoying some mom and daughter time. And while we were enjoying our root beer floats, two cars suddenly drove into the drive-in and stopped right in front of us. And a young man jumped out of one car and started running across the lot, the parking lot. And out of the second car, two men jumped out and tackled this young man. And they started beating him. And after a few blows, the young man fell to the ground. And I'm sitting there in the car with my mom, frozen in fear and shock. And my mother jumps out of the car and takes the little tray that they bring the root beer floats on, and she runs up to those men that are kicking and punching this young man that's on the ground, and she says, "You don't kick or hit somebody that's on the ground. You don't do that. Get away from him." And the men did. They were ashamed into letting this young man crawl back into his car. And I'll never forget that. And the irony is that my mother was a battered woman for many years. And evidently she saw something in that act that drove her to jump out of that car and demand justice for this young man. My second incident, we're going to go back in time a little bit. I was 10 years old. My mother was pregnant with her fourth child and divorced, living on a waitress's wage. Not a whole lot of money. So early one morning, I heard the sound of a baby crying. And I walk out into the living room. I will never forget this scene. My mother was lying on the floor. There was a bottle of alcohol, a pair of scissors, and my baby sister was lying on my mother's breast. She had red hair. It was still wet from the afterbirth. And voila, we suddenly had a new addition to the family. And my little brother was there, and he ran across the street and told the neighbors. It must have been 2 or 3 in the morning. I have no idea. And the ambulance came, they took away mom and the baby, and everybody was fine. But I still don't know to this day whether that was an act of courage or an act of fear and shame. My mother was a very proud woman. She never took welfare. She sold the furniture to put food on the table. But I still recognize that as a woman who made the hard choices. And those are 2 life lessons I'll always carry with me.
Kelly, everybody.